Okay, here we go. Chapter 1, Motion and Forces. We're going to do some simple math and basic algebra, and then combine it with what we're learning in science, because we want to really push the foundation, basic foundational math skills for reinforcement, for help in algebra, for help in math, and also to apply it in science. So it's something that we're going to try this year. I'm going to take about a year or two to implement through the whole course in terms of teaching like this, but this is our first time doing this, so we're going to try this. Now, keep in mind, you know I always say less is more. I'm holding a old school video camera in one hand. I've got a pen, and I've got paper. Okay, I don't have a smartboard, will not use it. I will not use a laptop. I'm going to go old school. So I'm going to do my best to make this video. You know what? The goofier it is, the more you'll pay attention. So I'm going to use my impressive camera skills here. So let's pay attention. Here we go. So the first one right here, simple division. I did it for you already. You've learned 2/3 divided by 3/4. When you divide fractions, you can't divide them until you keep the first fraction, change it to multiplication, and then find the reciprocal, or flip. Keep, change, flip. Look to cross reduce, can't do it, you get 8/9. Okay? So that's one way we divide fractions. Now you have something else here. This is the same thing, except this looks like something called a complex fraction. Here you got 3/6. What's this line mean? Divided by 5/6. So right here, you take 3/6, right? That means divided by 5/6, but we know we got to keep, change, flip. 5/6 becomes 6/5, right? Cancel, cancel. You're left with 3/5. Okay? You try that one on your own. Okay? Again, keep 11/9 divided by 5/4. So again, keep, change this to multiplication, reciprocal. So ultimately it becomes 11/9 times 4/5. Again, basic stuff. Now, basic algebra. Y equals 12/6. How do you simplify that? Well, you know it as y equals 12 divided by 6. You would just do y equals 2. Simple. Here, 6 equals x divided by 3. So you've learned, hold on, let me hold the camera, that you need to get x by itself, right? So you've been told to, so if you have 3 in the denominator down here, you need to multiply by 3 on both sides of the equation. So what does that mean? What does that actually mean? So you're going to rewrite, because you want to make sure an algebraic equation with an equal sign means both sides have to show equivalency. Okay? Now you know blank divided by 3 is 6. You know 18 divided by 3 is the same as 6. But how do I prove that this is 18? So you're going to take x over 3, and I'm writing this by looking at a camera lens. Let's see if I can do this. I'm putting a parenthesis here because I'm going to show that I'm multiplying by 3 here, and I'll show you that in a second. Hold on. With the 6 right there. Now hold on, let me do this first. I'm going to multiply. Well, why am I multiplying? What's that going to do? It's actually going to whoop, whoop, cancel that out. It's really like 3/1, right? And so what am I left with? X. But wait a minute. We said algebra equations with an equal sign have to be like equal on both sides. So whatever I did here, I got to make sure I multiply by 3 over. See, I multiplied by 3 here. Look how nice that is. That thing just cancels right on out. Now wait a minute. I also have to what? Oh, multiply by 3 there. See what I did right here? Both sides have to be the same. So this cancels out. And what's 3 times 6? 18. So 18 equals, cancel, cancel, x. Done. Again, you've been told to multiply on both sides, but we're just reminding you to prove it, think it, okay? That is a very simple problem, but again, very important to not just do the problem, think the problem, all right? And don't worry, we're going to get to the speed and the distance and everything else soon too. Well, now let's look at this, and there's a reason why I'm doing this. You know, you've already kind of talked about in class, speed equals distance over time. Well, what do you notice here? Blank equals blank divided by blank. Like, we're kind of setting you up for that. What's this guy all about here? What do we got here? We got to solve for x. Oh, no. Well, I already know the answer. 16 divided by 2 is 8. Okay, well, that's great. You know that. Wow. Whoop-de-doo. Prove it. Okay, so what do we got to do? You got to get x by itself. Okay, so step one. All right, let me see if I can hold this here and do this right. I'm going to multiply by x on both sides. It's not a big deal. Again, it's an equal sign, so whatever you do on one side, you got to do on the other. So I'm going to do 16 over x. I just rewrote that thing. Wait a minute. Times x. Well, why do I want to multiply that? Look what happens, dude. Cross reduction, right? Canceling, whatever y'all call it nowadays, right? Look at that. This is why you multiply on both sides. You want to get this guy out of here. Boom, boom, get out of here. Now, whatever we do on this side, what do we got to do? Put the 8 there, the guy that went right there, times x. Now, wait a second, hold up. Again, cancel. Watch this. I multiply by x over, I got to do it over here. Because again, you have to keep the stuff on the same on both sides. Because why? That's an equal sign. This has to equal that. Do you follow what I'm saying here? So hold on a minute. So now, you're left with, when we simplify this, 8x. Well, how'd you get that? It's just x times 8, dude. 8x equals 16. Okay, now watch this. Now hold up. I don't want 8x equals 16, dude. I want x to be by itself. So what do we got to do? Tell 8 to get out of here. All right, well, how are we going to do that? We have to know our math, and it's all about fractions. Yes, I said the F word, fractions, and cancellation. No big deal. So we're going to divide by 8 on both sides. Now, hold on a second. I'm going to put a divide by 8 there, and I'm going to put it in whatever. Remember we said, algebra equation, equal, both sides. Whatever you do on one side, you got to do on the other. See that right there? Cancel. Now, hold up. I'll simplify this thing. Prove this. Why does it cancel? I mean, you can memorize that, but what did I actually do? It's actually 8, this guy's right here, divided by 8. Well, duh, it's 1. I memorized it. Okay, prove it. What's 8 divided by 8? Wait a second. Divided by 8, keep, change, flip. That's how you do 8 divided by 8. Look at that. Cancel, cancel. This is really this. Okay? So now that guy's taken care of. That's good. Now what's 16 divided by 8? We know 16 divided by 8 is 2. If you really want to prove it, 16 divided by 8. You don't have to do all this. But watch this. It's the same as 16, keep, change, times the reciprocal. 1 over 8. So 16 times 1 over 8. Cancel, cancel, 1, 2. That's how x is 2. Okay? So again, don't just do the problem, think the problem. Be comfortable with your numbers. Be comfortable with what these things actually mean. That's all it is. All right, now that was the algebra. Okay, now watch this. Now we're going to do science. Oh no, it's science. Oh boy. Okay. So in this chapter, we've taught you in class the meaning of speed, distance over time, and everything else. Okay, and again, my old videos are great. Formula triangle, oof, well, whatever, it's fine. But let's really dig in a little bit to improve our math skills and reinforce it. So this one's easy. How do you solve for speed? So they already give you the formula. Speed equals distance over time. Okay? And that's all we want. Speed is distance over time. I don't need to do anything. I don't have to move everything around. Same as S equals D over T. That tells me that my speed is equal to distance over time. And eventually in this paper, we're going to talk about units. Meters per second is the unit for speed. Well, what does that equal? Meters, distance per second. We'll get to that. That's easy. Okay. Now watch this though. Let's solve for distance. We always start off with speed equals distance over time. Right? So let's take this now. Let's isolate the variable. We're going to do the same thing. So like literally, we're going to solve for distance. Our unknown is up here in the numerator. Just like this problem up here, unknown was in the numerator. Except here, dude, I'm using letters. Speed, distance, time. That's all I'm going to do. All right, so watch this. So step one, I want to get distance by itself. So I got to get rid of the t. So I multiply on both sides. Well, what does that mean? Okay, so again, equivalent. I'm going to rewrite the d. I'll move my thumb in a minute. Hold on. Over t, right? What did I say? I need to get rid of the t. It's annoying. It's got to go over there. Okay, so watch this, dude. Put a parenthesis thing there. Times. Dude, I think I'm doing okay so far. Oh, boy. Yeah, look at that. Okay, now hold up. I'll move my hand. What did I just do? Well, look at that. I said, whatever you do on one side, you got to do on the other. Well, what does that mean? I mean, you just hear that. Well, you got to think it. All I did was, to get t over here, I multiplied by t over here, and I multiplied by t over here. And here's why you do that. You want to prove to get rid of it. Cancel it. This is why I talked about canceling up here, or cross reduction. These guys cancel out. Boom, boom. There you go. What am I left with? T times S, right? I'll just go S times T. Either way, 2 times 1 is the same as 1 times 2, right? So then you're left with T times S equals D, and that is the correct formula. Oh, there you go. Over there, here it is. Equals D. Or D equals S times T. Okay? And again, it's just like the same as we did up here. Same thing. Speed equals distance over time. This is our unknown. I needed to get time, the denominator over here. Cancel. Same idea. And this tells me if I want distance, right, I need to take the speed times the time. This means that if I do this, this is equal to this. Again, both sides of an algebraic equation with an equal sign have to be the same. But wait a minute, I see a D on one side and I see an S and a T. But if you multiply speed times time, you get the distance. And we'll show you that when we prove the unit next, which is very important, okay? All right, look at that. It's amazing what happens when you actually dissect things and take some time and think about it. Okay, let's solve for time. Again, no big deal. You know, this is where I wish I was left-handed. Oh well, okay. Look at this mess, here we go. So we're gonna start off with, now that's a big one. Speed equals distance over time. No, I don't want to use any of your technology things. I like it this way. Nobody email me and give me suggestions. No thanks. Okay. But it would be better. No, it wouldn't. I'm good. Thanks. Appreciate it. Okay, here we go. All right. So I want to solve for time. I need to get this dude by himself. Okay? So this is going to require a little bit of work, but it's easy. But keep the idea of cancellation and everything else. Watch this. Step one. Let's get this over here for now. Okay? So what are we doing? We multiply on both sides of the equation. Okay, we'll prove that. So again, in an algebra equation where it's equal on both sides, right? I'm going to rewrite the d over t, right? And I'm going to multiply times t. Now wait a minute, they got to be the same on both sides. Got to be the same. Got to be the same. S, right? There's an S. But wait a minute, times t. Okay, so now we're going to cancel on both sides like that, right? And now look over here. S times t, so you're left with d equals s times t. So, hold on. That's a bell, not my bell. Okay, good. So now we are equivalent on both sides, okay? Now hold on a minute. We're going to cancel this out. Now I'm left with t times s equals d. Again, s times t, t times s, same thing. So I'm going to come up here, okay? But here's the thing. I want time. I want this by itself, okay? I want time by itself. I don't want distance by itself. So now I need to, okay, now watch this. divide by s on both sides of the equation. Well, you know to do this, right? And whatever you do over here, both sides of an algebraic equation have to be equivalent. Now, wait a second. You know to cancel, right? Now, wait a second. Well, what does that mean? How do you know it canceled? This right here is s divided by s. Oh, didn't we divide a fraction a minute ago? Yo, so it's like s, keep, change, flip 1 over s, cancel, cancel. See what we just did right there? That's all it is. And a cancel, you're left with 1. So that's why you have t equals d over s. See how that works? Because whatever you do on one side, you do on the other, and you get your answer. That's all it is, guys. That's it. Very simple. Okay, so now we just solved for time. Okay, now let's go to the next level. Prove the unit for speed. Guys, all this is basic math. You are more than capable. I just want you to see and make that connection. All right, now, we're going to prove the unit for speed. Okay, this is easy, right? All right, here we go. So what's the unit for speed? Well, let's write the formula. Speed equals distance over time. Well, speed is meters per second. I'm going to write it like that. It should be m over s. What's the unit for distance? Meters. I'm writing MET like that on purpose so you can see it. What's the unit for time? Seconds. Didn't we say both sides of the equation have to be equivalent? Winner, winner, chicken dinner, done. Easy, okay? Now let's prove the unit for distance. I'm going to start with s equals d over t, just like this. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 2 columns right here. So step 1, I'm going to write the formula s equals d over t. And then on the other side, I'm going to write the units. S is meter over second equals meter over second. So things look great so far. You know what I mean? Like that's right. But dude, I want distance. Okay? So step 2, we're just solving for distance. We did this before. You get the t over here. So you know you got to take d over t, right? Multiply by t on both sides. Multiply by t on both sides. You see what I just did right there? So look here, look here. Cancel, cancel. You're left with t s equals d, right? That's the equation. But wait a minute. Do this with a unit. What's the unit for speed? Meters per second. Here, I'll do seconds so you can see it better, okay? Equals meters per second. But wait a second. No pun intended. Oh, that was corny. What did I do over here? I got to get rid of time. Well, over here, the unit for time is seconds. I'm going to multiply times seconds. Look at that. What does seconds and seconds do? Cancel. Whoop, whoop, gone. You see what I mean? Now watch this. What comes over here? Remember we put the t over here? What's the unit for t? Seconds. Right? Look what I'm doing here. Seconds times meters per second. Wait a second. God, I did it again. That was terrible. Whoop, whoop. What are you left with? I'm left with distance. Meters equals meters. Done. Again, both sides of an algebraic equation have to be equivalent. That's all it is. But it's proving the unit. And I remember years ago I met with some high school science teachers. They do a good job, right? They said, you guys need to really push proving units and formulas. So what better time to reinforce the math and do this right now? Okay? Now the last one. This one's interesting. Oh boy, here we go. Start off. Let's do the column thing. Step 1. Speed equals distance over time. Now we're going to prove the unit for time, or solve for time. So I already told you we're going to do the column. This means meters per second equals meters per second. No big deal, easy. But now wait a minute. I need to get time by himself. But the problem is I got to do 2 steps. So let's go step 2. You know what to do. multiply by time on both sides, right? So it's t times s equals d over t times t. See what I just did right there? Again, both sides have to be equivalent. Okay, so now over here, so now I'm going to just throw in units. Okay, relax, it's all good, I got you, I got you. Again, I'm doing my best with like my one hand on the camera here. Okay, so now I'm going to start off with an equal sign. I'm going to put this in the units. So we already said at the first, we said meters per second, which is speed, right? Speed equals meters per second. Now wait a minute, I got to get rid of the time, seconds. So I'm going to multiply by seconds on both sides of the equation. Right? Look at this. Cancel, 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 cancel. Okay? Just like I did over here. Time, time, second, second, cancel, cancel. Right? You see what I mean? Now hold on. Good so far. So now we have meters per second and we got t times s. Now wait a minute. We want to keep the t there. Hold on a minute. So now step 3. We're left with t s equals d. You with me so far? Over here, what does that mean? Second times meters per second equals d, and that is correct, because dude, what is distance? These guys cancel out, but wait a minute, watch this. Okay? So now what we're going to divide, we need to get time on both sides. So we need to solve for time. We need to get time by himself. We need time. So we're going to divide by speed on both sides of the equation. Just like this. Right? Whatever I do here, I do here. Now prove it. S divided by S is S times 1 over S. That's why they cancel. Over here, D divided by S. What's D divided by S? It's D times 1 over S. Do they cancel? No, that's why you don't cancel anything out. Okay? Oh boy, now let's do the units. Here we go. So now we're going to do seconds. I'll put the SEC there. SEC. They're better than the Big Ten in football. Okay, here we go. So now, what do we want? We said we want to get time by himself. So you want to get this guy by himself. Seconds. So we're going to divide by meters per second on this side. And wait a minute. Distance is meters. Hold on. Now watch this. What's meters per second divided by meters per second? Keep, multiply, flip. If you flip it, you would get meters per second times seconds over meters. Canceled. See what I just did right there? Because you would get meters per second divided by meters per second. What happens to those guys? Meters per second, I'm just putting an S there, times, flip it, second per meter. That's why it cancels, guys. Okay? Now hold on, watch this. Equals meters, whatever you do here, you got to do over here. Divided by meters per second. Can that cancel? Well, let's see. Meters divided by times, keep, change, flip. Look at that! Cancel, cancel. What am I left with? Seconds. And I'm running out of room. But I'm doing the best I can. So that proves the time. I want seconds. Do you follow what I'm saying? Okay. And if you need extra time in class on that, we'll cover that. All right. Now, last part, you do these. These are simple math equations. I want you to solve for them. All right, I'm going to stop there. We'll see how this goes. We will reinforce some of this in class too. Okay? All right, I did my best holding a camera and writing this on paper.